Hi, I decided to do my news presentation on an article that goes over Florida's 6-week ban on abortions and how it's going to affect Florida and more specifically women that currently reside in the state. This article gets into many politicians' outspokenness towards the ban, but the rest of the article is simply facts and potential health hazards that this ban could have on women. So the article starts by mentioning Kamala Harris's visit to Jacksonville, Florida. She claims that the abortion ban was a direct cause of the former president of the United States, Donald Trump's decisions. She ridicules him and his decisions heavily, but the focus is still on women affected and the health risks. A major issue with this ban is likely going to be the fact that it will criminalize any doctors, nurses, or women who still seek out or decide to perform this despite the new law. So this will lead to a lot of things, but majorly it will lead to unsafe at-home attempts at abortions, likely underground and illegal options, which will be less safe. And not only these things, but it's also been seen in other states where abortion bans were started, that a lot of healthcare workers and doctors just up and leave the state in order to still safely and legally perform abortions. This not only is going to affect obviously women who are seeking out abortions, but it also just affects Florida as a whole state because there's obviously going to be less healthcare workers available for the people in Florida. So that's going to affect everyone in Florida, not just women. There are also no exceptions for incest or rape for this ban, which is something that's widely ridiculed by the public and also something that has been heavily explored when the idea of banning abortions has come up. It's often discussed that this should be a component, and it is not. And while there's technically an exception for abortions and pregnancies that will end up being fatal for the mother, the stipulations for this situation are incredibly specific, and they leave no room for how complex these situations really are in reality. Because with the stipulations that are in place, doctors are essentially told that they need to wait until a mother is essentially actively dying and septic before they can go in and do their best to save the mother. And by then, a lot of times, by the time they're actively dying or septic, it's likely that they're going to lose them and that there will be no reason to perform the abortion or any measures at that point. And so it really leaves that out as an option, despite it kind of claiming that it is going to be an option for medical needed abortions. So I personally find this ban pretty appalling, not only for women, but also just all Americans, because for us to have been relying on Roe v. Wade and finding comfort in that, only for it to be taken away and overturned is something that I think should concern us all, because it's one of our rights being taken away. And now it was one thing to see that, but now when you look at the news and you see that these bans are actually happening on state level, it's really scary to think that that's even a possibility when we've had the comfort of it for so long. I think that even if you're not interested in politics, or if you have no opinion on abortion, or if you're super pro-life or even pro-choice, whatever opinion you have on abortion, I think that it should be a concern that this was even possible from the start, the fact that this ban was even possible. However, on the ban itself, which is what the article is focused on, I think that that's really scary. It doesn't even really get into the mental health effects that come with taking on a pregnancy that you didn't plan, want, or even if, like, obviously medically some people can't, financially you can't if you're not prepared. the mental health effects that that has on women are immense, and they're not even talked about in this. Politically, I think that this is going to really start something. I think that things like this are going to continue to happen, and that's a really scary thought. So I will be keeping an eye on that in the future.